So after realization, the dream still remains. What is then left to be driven by? What's the purpose then? Sit around and wait for death. The purpose has been realized. That's the purpose of all of this is self-realization. So that's why I sit here is because it's been done. There's nothing more to do. It's been done. I'm done. So there still is this organism that desires to stay alive, but beyond Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's this. There's no purpose to any of this other than to escape this. So I know it's really, really hardcore stance, but this is the conclusion I've come to. Probably 95% of the motivation for why people do the things they do is thoughts, right? They create some sort of an idea of something to do or something they want or something they desire. And then with that thought implanted within consciousness, then there seems like there's something to do. No, see, the purpose is inverted. The purpose, we think that the purpose of evolution is just to live, but the purpose of evolution is to become self aware. And until that happens, the biological body will continue. Yeah. And most spiritual teachers, they are trying to teach you how to live and engage in the world and yet still realize their enlightenment, which is nonsense. You can't. You have to give up completely the world. The body mechanism is governed by what then? The same mechanism that unfolds the grass growing and the wind blowing and the birds chirping. Whatever that is. Yeah, sure. Energy, life. The actions of the body are not determined by the thoughts. The thoughts come in after the fact and provide some sort of narrative about what's happening. Well, yeah, I guess essentially even Maya is you, but the narrative is the story. It's not, it's, yeah, the narrative isn't the thing, it's the story we tell ourselves to relate to the thing, I guess. So, yeah, thought is just another way, a new way of Maya trying to keep consciousness engaged in samsara. So, all of the potential for novel sensual experiences has run out. There's no more potential within the collective of human consciousness for new physical experiences. So we're getting bored of it. That's our boredom. We're just like, we've it's there's no more, we're not interested anymore in the physical realm because it has played out all of its potential within human consciousness. So then consciousness that doesn't want to go back to source will create something new and add on to that, so it will have novel experiences, but these novel experiences are of a lesser degree. You have to trade in some of the senses in order to introduce thought. So you're trading in some of the senses, sensual experience, for the thought experience and calling that novel. And therefore, if it's novel, then maybe it's more interesting. And your interest, your attention is what keeps this going, keeps this appearance as real. Hello, Paige. Paige and Maria, my two regulars. Canadians in the house, yo. Well, yeah, the fear is so of course the ego, your name here, is so ingrained as identity, as a person's identity, as self, is that it takes an immense amount of spiritual practice to break that. So one could say all they want, use the words, oh, I know I'm not the body and the mind. But when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of letting go. Like, just imagine that every time you're engaging in this spiritual practice, pretend you're dying, you're on your deathbed. Today, you are going to die. You know that you're going to die. So, deal with all that fear now. Yeah, it'll come up in many, many, many different ways. My neighbor's plowing my driveway when he doesn't have to, just because I'm a procrastinator. I gotta text him and tell him to stop it. he, ma- he makes me look bad, my neighbor. It's just me here, so I don't give a shit if my driveway is plowed or not, and he's out there driving plowing my driveway now. I gotta go wait. I gotta go see if he's I gotta go talk to my neighbor for a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Don't talk amongst yourselves or talk amongst yourselves. Okay. He's a very good neighbor. He's concerned as whether I got wood or not. It's a good neighbor. Okay. Maybe if I just sit here and wait long enough, everyone will just do everything for me. Bruce will plow my driveway, and I don't know, people will come and bring me food. Maybe I just can sit here. That'd be awesome. Just sit here. Uh Probably won't happen that way. I'll get on the quad and do the plowing after this satsang. One could say a symbol's function is to create noise, hey? Whether it's mental noise or auditory noise. Sound is just another phenomenon to divert attention away from self. You can't see this is bullshit. You can't use an appearance to get rid of an appearance. There is no process for which to realize your naturalness, your innate state, right? There's no process to realize what you are. There's only a process to get rid of the obstacles. So by focusing on an appearance, that is not a means to transcending appearances. You, it's nonsense. That's why I have the one step path. Immediately, it's the same step. Immediately upon recognition that you're paying attention to a sound, you turn attention away from the sound. So it's always turning attention away from thoughts and sensations and on to the Mona that is nowhere and everywhere at once. So that's another really subtle trick of Maya is like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. And the way to transcend this is by focusing on this. It's like, no, it's just another play by Maya, a counterpunch. But don't fall for it. Don't fall for the juke, right? She's gonna hit you with a freaking jab. She's gonna juke this way and hit you with the left. I'm ridiculous. Well, if there's an inner sound, that would be a thought, right? The voice in your head is equated to auditory senses, the auditory sense. But what is it that's listening? Yes, God awareness wants to play and experience, but there's also the option to not play or experience any longer. So both are valid. I think that's also that statement, God wants to play an experience. It wants to play the game, but the rules, the goal of the game is to escape the game. So yeah, it likes to be entertained, but the game in which the game that produces the entertainment, the purpose of that game, the goal of that game is to find conclusion of the game. It's just entertainment. Yep. Self is playing hide and seek, and it hides as everything else. It's hiding in complete view. It's just not recognized. No, there's no these therapies and these others. They're for kindergarten class, and this is PhD level. So I don't teach anything but the one step path. There's no route, there's no multi step process in which to get to this. I didn't have to do this to get to. There's no process to being. There's a process that takes you out of being. So to stop that process means that you will remain in being, right? So it's always prior. You stop. You prevent the process that brings the illusion to appearance. You can't dissolve the appearance by some sort of process. Oh, it might be kitty time. Is it kitty time? Yeah, come here. Get up here, you. Oh. Oh, there's my bald eagle. Well, it's not. Well, I guess it is my bald eagle. Yeah. Is there more to that? So there's consciousness slash God, and there's that which is beyond consciousness, the purpose. Yeah. Yeah. So then when these bodies are no more, including their completion. So yeah, I make a distinction between consciousness and awareness. Whereas the philosophers and people who talk about this stuff, they use the word consciousness almost exclusively. But I don't like it because it's not comprehensive enough. Because in dreamless sleep, there's no consciousness, is there? There's no world and there's no time in dreamless sleep. So therefore, there's no consciousness, right? You could say that you're unconscious, but there's still awareness. So the distinction that I make is that consciousness is the content of awareness, but awareness doesn't require content. So dreamless sleep is awareness without content. So consciousness is detached from the ultimate nothingness, never to be picked up at least. Yeah, I would say consciousness is being aware as awareness of something, but it's not necessary. There doesn't need to be awareness. Awareness is self-sustaining and self-fulfilling. It's absolute. So it doesn't require awareness of something. It can just be awareness. So when all of this passes, as it does in the dreamless sleep state, you still exist. Same with the death state. When there is no more content, there's no more world or time or thoughts even, then there's just you, just the absolute, with no content. So after the body is dropped and liberation, what will remain is only awareness, void of consciousness. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's devoid of content, but you can still, let's say, there's a frame of reference without a frame, I guess. And there's no way to conceptualize this beyond that triune system that I present as the fundamental model of reality, which is the Tao, basically, right? The Tao is not nothing, it's nothing that can be described. So that's the problem, is that physics and philosophers and mathematicians are trying to describe the ultimate reality, that which is absolute, but it can't. But they keep going on. So the deep sleep that is spoken of, so deep sleep, I take deep sleep to be sleep that isn't dream, right? Dreamless sleep, that's what I take to be deep sleep, is dreamless sleep. So yeah, I would say that that is beyond consciousness. The dreamless sleep state and the death state and the upcoming extinction state, these are all states that are transcendent of consciousness. There isn't, it's even deeper than consciousness. And I believe Nisargadatta Maharaj made this distinction as well. He said that there's something beyond consciousness, because consciousness isn't the correct word to be using, and yet that's what everyone said. Just about everyone's in the non-dual community and philosophers all say that consciousness is all there is, but it's not nuanced enough. It's not a comprehensive enough word or concept to describe succinctly what's going on. But since there's still the body mechanism, then when waking up back to the dream state, consciousness is still fixed until the body is dropped. Yeah, there, even upon liberation, there's still some karmic momentum that needs to unwind, and that's the rest of your life. So enlightened beings don't just blink out of existence. They still have this momentum that was basically written into the script when you entered this play of Your Name Here. So yeah, there's full liberation is attained after enlightenment at death. But you have to be enlightened first, and then you die, and then nothing comes back. So obviously, if you die and you're not enlightened, then there's still roots left, karmic roots that will spring forward another life in another world. And the way that you know when all of the roots are plucked out, like you have to pluck out all of the roots, right? And an indication that you've got all the roots is the stillness, the silence of the voice in your head. Because the voice in your head is your future self, your future egoic self, right? Not the true self, but the egoic self. So right now, you might take self to be the body or a combination of body and mind. But what I'm saying is that in the future, when the extinction happens, you will identify strictly with the mind aspect of the ego. So you'll just be all thoughts. Your identity will be completely, exclusively related to your thoughts. Can people hear you purring? Oh, it's so nice. You gonna purr for the people? I'm not answering anymore, Blinky. I still love you, but I'm not answering anymore. Yeah, there's no more like there's a huge difference. It's you're taking a quantum leap when you stop searching and you just devote all of that searching into practice. Like if you haven't come to the realization that the one-step path is the way, then either you need to do more searching or you're just not letting go. You're just not adhering to the practice because your ego is scared, because it's the death of the ego, right? No, it's not enough to know that you are awareness God. No. The true understanding and true knowledge of something comes from the experience of that, not just learning about it, right? So you may read a rule book on the game of baseball, but you don't know baseball until you've played baseball. So you don't know completely that you are God until you've experienced your divinity. And if you don't know whether you've experienced your divinity or not, then you haven't. See, this is the problem, is that people, so many people associate enlightenment with some sort of understanding, with some sort of intellectual understanding or something. It's not an experience for them, it's an understanding. But it's to me, it's an experience. I know what self is, and I have a deep, deep experience of that self in and as the Mona, the stillness that is the substrate upon which everything manifests and then passes. Yeah, but it has to be at least partially based upon an experience. It has to be, and then when you describe that experience, then you could say that is the knowledge of your experience of being the divine, of being God, is when you describe your state. That's the knowledge, right? The knowledge isn't the enlightenment. The description of the enlightenment is the knowledge. And it's not something that you, again, it's not you're not reciting something that you've learned, which so many people are. You're actually describing your direct experience. And and it's important to be able to distinguish those people who are just regurgitating things that they've learned, and people who are actually describing their direct experience. It's a big, big difference. Wow, that's pretty intense, man. Doctors don't know fuck all, not the ones that are based in materialism anyway. So a coma, that might be a state of awareness without content, hey? Yeah, there's no point in trying to find a location for awareness. So it's best to just not try to find a location for it. But to the back, or back a step, is probably the best way of describing it. Yeah. It's like when you're looking in a mirror to realize what's real, to recognize what's real, you don't go forward with that attention, right? And place it outward on the reflection. You keep it back one. So if this body is a mirror image, then you have to do the same for this as well, right? And that's a good way to do it. So if you're the witness of the universe that arises all at once, then the body is included in that, right? So there isn't a body separate from the universe that's receiving information from the universe in the form of the senses. What's happening is that the senses are projecting the body and the world simultaneously, right? So you have, in order to gain that perspective, you have to go back a step and say that this is not the location of the senses. The senses are projecting this at the same time as the entire world. So it all flashes on at once and all flashes off at once. All flashes on at once, all flashes off at once. Yeah, you have to let go of everything, right? You have to let go of where and who and what. You have to let go of all of that, of everything definite. Yeah, it is. Well, it's impossible to keep the thoughts out, but it's not but it is possible to not give those thoughts any more attention. So the less you give the entire thought action process, the less attention you give to thoughts in general, the less force those thoughts will push you around. The less gravity, the less weight, the less substance, energy, whatever you want to call it. So the process, you can't prevent thoughts from entering, but you can not give those thoughts that enter any more life energy. And the more you do that, repeated practice, that system will slow down and shut down. on its own through the practice of just shifting attention away from the thoughts. Yeah, not acting on them. Just sit there, and whatever thought comes in, Maya wants to distract you. She doesn't want you to pay attention to the stillness. She wants you to pay attention to everything else because that's her game. That's her role in this game as the opponent. So whatever thoughts arise, you just let them go without acting on them. That's it, really. You just let them all pass. And when you do that, it just dies of its own. Your attention is the life energy that makes thoughts appear so substantial and makes it appear as though thoughts are actually in control of what's going on, but they're not. And when you start paying more attention to the source from which the thoughts arise and to which they pass, then that stops. It doesn't give any more food to that process, and it dies. It starves. The ego starves to death if you don't pay attention to the thoughts. Yeah, fear is the self-defense mechanism of Maya. with the thoughts not coming up anymore, I it just takes constant diligence and practice, just like anything you get. It gets easier the more you do it. So the more you engage in the practice, the easier the practice will become, and the more time you get to spend, that space between thoughts will keep getting larger and larger and deeper. And then eventually, at some point, this is far more mechanistic than people think it is. But once the threshold is attained, and I don't know what that is specifically as a mathematical formula or whatever, but there's a point where it flips and it becomes effortless. It becomes effortless and it becomes the preferred state. But until that, it's like breaking through a sound barrier. When you're going faster than the speed of sound, it takes a lot to break through that. But once you do, it's just, it's almost a complete new state. So it gets easier. And that means life itself gets easier. Like, I'm not just talking about the practice gets easier. Life itself becomes easier. Now, unless you like struggles and difficulties and all that stuff, then go for it. But if ease and comfort and just contentment is what you're after, then this is the path. The one step path. My cat's breath smells like cat food. Well, gang, I'm tapping out. Callie says bye. Say bye, Callie. Cats can't talk. All right, take it easy, gang. Thanks for dropping by. Stay cool.